Good afternoon, everyone. Well, the bonhomie and banter has been left in the West Car Park and surrounding areas, at least for the next couple of hours. The colours are now nailed firmly to the flagpole. You're red or you're blue, and there's not many in between. It's time for the biggest day in inter-services sport. Huge following. A new year, new teams led by new captains. Jamie Miller leads the Army, Scott Makepeace the Navy, and just listen to this reception. Well, Andy Sanger alongside me, you've had this reception on many occasions. Does it still get the hairs going up the back of your neck?
Yeah, absolutely, Simon. It's a tremendous occasion. The boys will be really fun, and looking forward to some great rugby.
And for many, it's a new experience. It's something they have to cope with and get used to very quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's different to a lot of the boys would have played before, and how they adapt will be key to the result.
Well, the chosen charity today is Combat Stress, and it's going to be highlighted now by this introduction from actor and documentarian Ross Kemp. Well, apt words from Mr. Kemp, with strong support from the stands for all the services around the world, and the men and women that do so much. Now for the formalities, the national anthem, which today will be led by Fleur East. So the anthem's ramping things up just a little bit more. Let's take a look at the two lineups. Well, the Army tight five has a familiar look to it. Indeed, numbers 1 to 6 are the same starters as last year. Fajee and Flair aplenty in that back line, a quintet to be exact, with Lance Corporal Dan Tooth in the middle of them, getting his first experience of the Army-Navy encounter. There's a handful of new names, but plenty of rejigging of some of the older names in the Navy lineup, notably Greg Lloydell getting his hand on the teller at 10, allowing 22-year-old Brad James to debut in midfield. Watch out for the attacking prowess of Craig Duncan at fullback, and that balanced back row trio of Pascoe, Matavesi and Hayler. And on the benches, well, Rokadanguni is jetted into the Army reserves. There's 3 debutants waiting on the dark blue bench, all of those men waiting to make an impact as and when they're called upon. Referee for this one is 30-year-old Matthew O'Grady. Really looking forward to this when I chatted with him earlier on. Well, for the Army, it's 1400 hours. For the Navy, it's 4 bells in the afternoon watch. For everyone else, well, it's all systems go.
Thanks, mate.
The battle for the Babcock Trophy.
Scott, you good?
The
Scott, good to go.
102nd Army-Navy match is about to get underway.
Let's just get the lads up. Let's just get the lads on side to start with, shall we? Time it, fellas.
Well, Andy, when we've set this game up before, you've been an integral part of the Army setup. Of course you have. Get the feeling there's a little bit of a difference in the match equation, though, for this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Navy team is a more complete team than maybe has been in recent years. They've got some real attacking threat in the back line, as well as, you know, obviously a competent pack. But so conversely against that, the Army pack is probably as good as it's been for 10 years, so it'll be a good battle up front as well.
The barometer is often the RAF game, which has obviously been played ahead of this. As Rupert said, you know, at Kingsholm, there was an emphatic performance from the Army to win 49-3. The Navy did the job at the Stoop, what, a month ago now, 25-10. That really gives you an indicator, maybe, of the confidence within both camps.
Yeah, and that, you know, the Army playing only last week, I think, might be key to the game today, with them having real momentum.
Well, momentum is not going to be allowed easily on this pitch. As Nyalagu gets shunted backwards, but there is Ifeanyi Bollandau, missed the last 2 years with broken arms for obviously different reasons, but such an important character in the way that the Army want to operate. Ross Parkin sets it back, little scrappy, but picked up by the skipper, Jamie Miller. Stuart Cross in the open side role this afternoon. Fatiaki, always a powerful runner. Jack Prasad calling the shots in that 10 shirt this afternoon. Be very interesting to see how tactically those Army halfbacks work this game. They get the call early on.
Time you're off your feet.
Defiant defence already coming in from the Navy, but the Army beginning to stitch things together.
Yeah, I mean, the halfbacks went through the phases there. I think there's 6 or 7 phases, varying the point of attack. Interesting, Matavesi getting involved in the contacts early. I think he'll be key to the battle of the back roads as well.
Yeah, there's Matavesi, and he flew back from Toulouse last Sunday, and he's heading back there tomorrow. He's back to top 14 action for his new team as of next weekend. Been quite some season for him. Of course, it's going to be a long season, because he will be in the Fijian World Cup squad, but then presses on towards Japan in September, October.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a key target for him. But I think looking at this penalty about to be taken, this will be a key factor of the game today. I don't think the Army, you know, as strong as they'd like to be, you know, in the kicking area, and this will be key to the outcome of the result.
Jonah Davitanavalu doesn't hit the target first up, and that is just a little nervy start there from the Army kicker. It's never easy in these circumstances. It is a blustery day, much as the sun's come out now. We've had a few squally showers around in the last couple of hours.
Yeah, and Davitanavalu, you know, like I sort of alluded to there, is not a regular kicker. He'll be disappointed that he didn't nudge that one over, but you know, Army, you've got possession again.
Nyalagu, his fellow wing compatriot, sets the stall out for the Army to try and reboot their attack. Fatiaki and Prasad combining well. Wheeldon in as that
Flat.
critical pivot, that feed. It'll be interesting to see how the wingers set up. David Hanavalu is wearing 14 but playing on the left wing, so it may well be a mix and match scenario.
Yeah, they like to move around the left and right, both wingers. Now I'll argue on the other side as well. You know, they're a real attacking threat out wide, and can't wait to get the ball in hands for them too.
The line out works almost, but it's the Navy who scrapped for the ball on the floor. Yes, it was untidy, to say the least. Now, this is an area where the Army believe that they can get some ascendancy. They had to wait 23 minutes against the RAF, and I know Lee Soper and Rob Jones were chomping at the bit by the time they got to that point. This is an early scrum inside the first 5 minutes, a very important indicator coming up.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's fair to say that the Army destroyed the RAF scrum. The Navy sort of got a slight ascendancy, so looking forward to this first scrum.
Points!
Yeah, the pack weights give the Army a 19-kilo advantage. That's almost 2.4 kilos a man. That is significant.
Yeah, and I think Lewis being in the second row attributes for most of that. He's nearly 128 kilos. He's a giant of a man, and helping out the front row there.
Yeah, you can see Lewis being just on the left of that shot, packing down for the Army. Been signed up by Northampton Saints at the beginning of the year, been training full-time with the Franklin's Gardens crew up there. It'll be very interesting to see how he goes next year. Bollandale straightens things up for those in red.
Balls available.
Wheeldon gets the call from the aforesaid Bean. Prasad. Fatiaki trying to cut that acute angle. The advantage is there for the Army as they come round with intent, led by the captain Jamie Miller.
Let him go,
approaching that Navy 22. Up and over goes Wheeldon. Ball goes loose and they will come back for that penalty call.
13.
Some good play by the Army there, going with the phases, going around the corner, tying in the Army defenders, which has forced them to just sort of sneak offside.
Yes, combining well, led by Bombardier Ifeanyi Bollandale.
Don't tackle him on the
Very
floor.
clever player. You can see here as he sorted things out off that scrum. 6'3" and 115 kilos on the hoof is always going to be difficult to stop when he picks up that sort of pace, that momentum.
Absolutely, and when he goes into contact, he does no back, and he'll be a threat to the Navy all day.
Okay, front lifter here, please, Gareth.
Well, opting not to go for the posts. An early indicator maybe from the Army as to the way they want to and maybe have to play this game.
Let him go.
The power drive coming on from their pack. The cry from the crowd urging them forward. Prasad. Again to Fatiaki. Prasad with numbers out to the left. Bullamak out. Pulled up some 3 metres short. Most of the red shirts panning out to the right-hand side, but I don't think the forwards are going to want to release it easily.
No, back you go.
No, they're not, and they'll keep it tight in there, but Wheeldon, the halfback, needs to control this and make sure that they make the right choices.
Use it!
Stuart Cross leading the next thrust, but now they look left. Devatanavalu pulled up just short, but the ball's still there for the Army as they continue to pressurise the Navy defence. Turnover ball out for the men in blue. Didn't see whose hand went in there, but that is a relief kick in all senses of the word, and that is terrific defence from the Royal Navy.
Yeah, actually, their line press was really good. I think Dowding just lost the ball in contact, and so to compound the issue, he's just been knocked into touch by an Army player as well, so it's a Navy lineup.
You just see there on the ball,
Scott, how
Gareth
many, please?
Rees making the most of that opportunity, and I think it was David Tanavalu who just
You'll get tight.
tried to keep things in play, edged it out. Well, it's an Army throw, so maybe he didn't get... Oh, now they've decided to correct it. Officials sorting things out on that far side. There's Ben Priddy, equaling the appearance record for a Navy forward with Bob Armstrong today. 31st cap for the Cornishman.
To be alongside Bob Armstrong, who was a legendary player for the Navy 20-odd years ago, is some feat for Ben Priddy.
Not far off Dave Pascoe's all-told record. Wheeldon. Fatiaki
Not now, lost it.
unable to get through that contact again. The Army trying to soften up that fringe defence before releasing it wide. Tooth. Prasad sidles his way through.
Sorry?
Suddenly finding a gap in that blue line where there didn't appear to be one.
Yeah, he's got a tremendous sort of turn of pace, lovely little hitch kick. I think we've lost the Army have lost the ball in contact again there, and that's something they'll want to correct to sort of keep that pressure sustained.
Will allow you the odd Freudian slip.
Thank you very much.
Understandable. When did you start? You started in 1994, I think, in Army ranks, didn't you, as a player?
Absolutely, had a few games as a player and then a few as coach, so apologise if I slip out and
It's allowed.
stick my red flag on.
I seem to remember you commuting from Iraq as a coach in 2006, so your commitment to the cause is undoubted. As Gareth Rees hangs one high, plenty of time for Wheeldon to feed Junior Bulamakau. Fatiaki with a little offload out of the back. David Tanavalu can't get the ball away. Myers can though. In fact, that's Dimmock Williams just edging the ball forward. Tooth having to scuttle back into his own 22. The first entrance of the Navy into the Army 22.
Tooth did really well there, actually staying his feet for a while and just bought a few seconds to allow the Army to take control of that contact. Unfortunately, they've just been turned over there.
Maybe a case of overplay?
Yeah,
in the wrong areas, at least.
Yeah, it's you know, for all the flair that David Tanavalu and Prasad Fatiaki, etc., will bring, you know, their tendency to offload can occasionally induce pressure, and I think that's an example of that.
Well, let's see what the call is going to be. It is for posts. It will be Gareth Rees who will be the kicker, although he seems to have a problem just down on this near side. I'm just looking to see whether he's going to be able to kick. Of course, we've known John Humphreys always stepping up for the Navy in these sort of opportunities in previous years.
Yeah, he's put a few nails in the Army coffin over the years as John Humphreys, but Gareth Rees is equally a good kicker, though he's you know, receiving that treatment, but with the tee on, they now have to take the kick.
Well, the referee's called time off for now. Yeah, John Humphreys, one of a number of big names, big characters that, of course, are now not in the Navy setup. Gaz Evans, you can think of. Dave Fairbrother hurt his shoulder for filed against Chester in the end of November. He's not part of it. Greg Welling, Rob Wilson, Harry Collins, names that we've got used to over the years. Yeah. But one door shuts, another one opens, and some of these youngsters have really stepped up to the plate already. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've like you have, I've chatted to Dave Pascoe, the head coach, and he thinks the new players that he brought in have brought a real energy to the setup, and he thinks they're as tightly knit as they've been for the last sort of 7 or 8 years. Yep, 7 new caps they introduced against the Marine Nationale, the French Navy, earlier on in the season, and that is a statement of intent, a sign of the times maybe, from the Royal Navy perspective. Now, the Army have had 80% of the possession in the first 12 minutes, but it's the Navy now with the chance to get the first points on the board. Rees bounces it off the post. It's going to be a scrum put in to the Army. A sense of relief momentarily there. How often have we seen that? At your Harlequins club, we've seen it many a time. I think of a Joe Marchant try not so long ago, where a kick has bounced off the post, and the first team to react has been able to capitalise. It almost happened there.
Absolutely, Joe Marchant's been a master at this season for Harlequins, thankfully. That bounce didn't quite go into Navy hands. You know, they've scrambled, and I think a Navy boy's knocked it on, so giving the Army the scrum. Key how they exit from here. Be interesting to see if they decide to have a little go, which wouldn't surprise me with the Saturday 10.
Yep, and they've got plenty of room, as you can see, both sides of that scrum. Well, they won't get the chance now. Another penalty call against the Army. Celebrations all round in the Navy 8, particularly Ed Pascoe there wearing the blue cap. Sam Matavesi always so vocal, so vibrant within that group.
Yeah, Matavesi's key to the Navy. You know, it's the back row. We spoke on it earlier. A key facet of the game today, as is always the game. You know, the case in most rugby. But today, whoever wins that area, I think, will go a long way to you know, recording the victory.
Ken Dowding looks on aghast, as most front rowers are taught to do.
Yes, and it'll be interesting how the Army front row react to that. Ken Dowding, for all his talents as a player, you know, he can sometimes get emotionally charged in the game, and he just needs to put that penalty behind him, whether he agrees or not, and just get on to the next phase.
Well, Gareth Bruce has put that penalty behind him, and quarter of an hour in, it's the Navy who get the first points on the board.
Yes, and you've got to love the panto booing from all the Army fans in the stadium. There's no such thing as blue or red with one or the other.
It's certainly a very partisan crowd, I think it's fair to say. Capacity crowd, sold out, the box office tell me, within 4 hours of tickets going on sale.
Yeah, it's an amazing event, a unique event in World Rugby, and you know, a true spectacle.
And something which the public have aligned to as well. Notice it's not all service personnel or retired service personnel that are here. There's plenty of Joe public that take a big interest now in this encounter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's some real quality on the field as well. You know, so as well as a good rugby match, you get into HK, you have one or two beverages, and you enjoy the day.
One or two. So the folklore goes. Twickenham sells more beer during this game they do in the entire Six Nations campaign here, but that may be just folklore. Yeah, certainly a good time is had by all.
Yeah, I'm sure that's just the raw Marines.
4 on the ground.
Just getting warmed up. Well, the Army getting warmed up with Lewis Bean with a great leg drive up over halfway.
If you want it, 9, just let me know, okay?
Prasad gets the call to move on. Tooth and Fatiaki combining in that midfield. Here's Tooth again, already won the Inter-Services Rugby League title earlier this season for the Army. A regular rugby union player, plays his club rugby at Dings Crusaders.
Yeah, Tooth actually is it's quite an interesting character, because he had a little bit of solidity, and you know, and I don't want to say he hasn't got flair, but he's a direct player, and occasionally you need that in that 12 channel, and he'll provide that for the Army, certainly.
Certainly, it's a very solid midfield with plenty flair behind it. Look at that. Talk about getting your shoulder in. That's what Chris Robinson did there. They call him Tank for a reason.
Yeah, he's a unit, I think it's fair to describe him.
Is that the wrong service? Should he not be a tank in the Navy?
Yeah, you can't have a tank in the Navy. Not that you would know that, Simon.
No. You live and learn. Junior Bullamak out, of course, playing his rugby with Coventry. We've known him for his sevens prowess as well. Dad, of course, a former Fijian sevens international. A real threat at fullback, given the space, given the opportunity. A dummy throw from the Army is going to cede possession there.
Yeah, you know, Austin, who's playing his rugby at London Scottish, you know, generally a real accurate line-out thrower. Parking and being in the second row is two students of the game in the second row, so they'll be disappointed with that.
Well, a tap and charge under that bomb, diffused safely by Nialago, the rugby league man. does well to get his team up over halfway, but the pressure coming straight through on Wielden. That's great work from Brad James. The Navy 12 really working so hard. Reese sees opportunity down that left flank. Now it's a foot race. Wielden trying to cut across. Great covering in the end from David Tanavalu. My goodness me, he needed to be on his toes there.
Yeah, that's one thing he has got, his wheels. You know, initially it wasn't a great kick from the Navy. They didn't really have an organised chase, and Niall Argue nearly escaped the tackle, but was turned over, and Gareth Rees does what he does very well, spotted the gap behind, and you know, a great little box kick.
Yeah, aware that the winger was out of position. There was only the scrum half coming back, but that man there doing his defensive duties spot on, and the Army can restart now off this 22. This difference between the two 10s, Prasad and Lloydell, is going to be fascinating. Prasad, we know, is a mercurial 10, doesn't kick. Lloydell we've known as a 12, but with Nathan Huntley's eye socket problems earlier on, I think it was against Exeter, wasn't it, in March, they were forced to put Lloydell into that pivot, and he's done so well that they've kept him in position. It, tactically, means a slight change of thinking, perhaps, from Dave Pascoe.
Yeah, it does. And you know, Lloydell's a talented player. You know, he was a ball playing 12, and as you touched on, you know, Prasad mercurial is a great word to describe him.
Well, as against the RAF across the road at the Stoop, the Navy soaking up the early pressure from the opposition and getting their feet in this game. Lewis Bean just weighing up what this first quarter has held for his team and the lessons that they're having to learn on the hoof.
Yeah, that was a great nudge for the for Lloydell there and the Navy. And this first, you know, this line out, so 10 metres out there, but I don't think this will get past 9.
Ben Priddy is the man with the darts. There he is. The take in from Ed Pascoe in the back row this year, but was in the engine room last year. There's Priddy. Priddy knows his way to the line. Scored a hat-trick in 2014 here. Held up over the line easy. That is great defensive work. I don't know who is the mattress in that particular Army bed, but that is absolutely invaluable to hold the Cornishman up there. Well, credit to Nathaniel Tichard-Jones. I think Turkish did his job there.
Yeah, he did, and it was, you know, initially a great set for that, and it was almost too successful. They broke away, which forced Priddy to, you know, to peel off, and he nearly goes over. Yeah, he's got into contact there. I think it's David Tanavalu with the initial tackle. You know, and credit, as you said, to Tichard-Jones, has just held him up over the line.
Well, both sides have shown their attacking intent from different areas, but nobody yet to get a 5-pointer on the board as we move into the second quarter of this game. Bonadau again.
No, not now! No, not now,
Peering around the back of the scrum. What an image he is for defenders.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he always makes that sort of 5-10 metres, but I think fair to say a poor kick off Bullmacau. And unfortunately, it's going to be...
Oh, Eldon Myers can't quite pick that one up cleanly. Referee said he wasn't a knock-on. Well, the call comes from this near side, I think, from Gareth Holsgrove, assistant referee, and it's going to be a scrum put in.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting there, Bullmacau, which, you know, we spoke earlier about, you know, the Army's kicking game, and Bullmacau then, that exit was a poor kick, and you know, unfortunately for the Navy perspective, they didn't exploit it. But if he takes that clean, I think the Army are in trouble. Well, again, we look at the tactical kicking of the Army and what they can and cannot do within this game. How they're going to have to work around it. Eldon Myers unable to make the most of that particular opportunity. As we get our first rendition of Sweet Charity. Absolutely. I think, you know, we onto the Army. I think Wielden has to take a little bit more responsibility. His kicking game is decent, and he perhaps needs to relieve that little bit of pressure away from Prasad and Bullmacau.
Well, of course, it's not just the 80,000 strong crowd here enjoying this fixture. A special hello to all the military personnel and their families serving across Europe, including Cyprus, Gibraltar, Germany, Poland, Estonia, Italy, further afield, of course, in Afghanistan and the Middle East, Nepal, Brunei, of course, those stationed in Canada, Belize, the Falkland Islands, Ascension, Diego Garcia, not forgetting, of course, the Royal Navy ships at sea. Great to have your company this afternoon. Hope you're enjoying what we've seen thus far.
Didn't survive the pool.
Little sidle through once again from Prasad. How does he find those holes?
He is a talent, and deceptively strong as well as that step and turn of pace.
But the turnover is there for the Navy once again. The breakdown. Well, just as I say that, they give it up. And I think that's down to trying to reset
let it go.
operations for the Army. Bean comes through on the crash ball. Prasad gets the call from David Tanavalu. Prasad again calling the shots. Miller hanging out wide to give an option to his team, taking them up towards halfway. Again, Bean the target. Josh Terry it was then who stepped up hard and fast. David Tanavalu appearing off his wing. We talked about the flexibility within this Army backline. Buller Macau feeds Craig Duncan, the first time we've seen the Welsh fullback, and he has got something special about him, no question about that. Great work from Bollandau, hurdling one, hurdling another. What a sight that is. Prasad gets Matavesi up. Didn't see him in his wing mirror there.
No, it was a bit of a Fiji welcome there from Matavesi onto Prasad.
Miller shows off his sidestep.
Not now, you're off your feet, let it come. Let it come.
Well, it's relentless, these phases of play, no stopping this game. 25 minutes, and the Army really trying to work this Navy defence. Nice offload from Cross, but the ball goes loose, and it's Pretty first to react, gets the offload in, and it's Dimmock Williams who is charging away. Well, Dimmock Williams, who scored the tying try in 2016, scores the first try in 2019. Opportunity knocks, and the Royal Navy have taken it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to make sure the player who picks up the ball.
Just have a listen here.
So you've got a knock on. You want to check that the blue player was onside.
Yeah, please.
Well, big call already in this game for the officials. Jeff Warren is the television match official on this.
It's easy, that one.
Wow, what a surge of adrenaline those phases of play. Let's have a look here. Short it was taking the ball up. Call.
For me, he appeared to be in an off-side position. If it's come off red, then it's play on.
Yeah, it's come off blue, hasn't it?
Off red and hasn't been played by blue.
Officials not seeing that. This is fine. It's how that ball appears off Jared Hayler or off Prasad.
Yeah, we're looking to see whether it's then come off that player there. Potentially.
It's on the angle, isn't it?
Off his knee there.
Has to have come off Hayler's knee, doesn't it?
It looks like it's just come off his knee, which will be
that's all the angles
for you, because they've caused the pressure there.
Two
Let's
blue
listen.
picks the ball up, is in front of 8 who needs the ball, so he's offside. Is that what you're seeing?
Yes, I'm seeing that. It comes off the blue knee, and then he picks it up in front. So therefore,
okay, so we're saying no try, going back for a knock on. Is that right?
That would be correct.
Okay, you can put them back on me now then.
Well, not working for the Navy there. Let's get an immediate reaction from the Navy camp. Dave Pascoe's with Julian Evans.
Yeah, I've got Chief Petty Officer Dave Pascoe with me, the man trying to mastermind a Navy victory over the Army today. Frustrating, it always comes down to these fine margins, and that one didn't go your way.
Yeah, no, it hasn't, but yeah, it's come from a great pressure defensive set, you know, and I think we'll hopefully see more of that as the game develops, if we can keep staying connected, getting off the line together and making our tackles.
You haven't quite enjoyed as much territory as perhaps you would have liked, but as you say, your defence is holding out well, particularly to keep the Army out early on from their try-scoring opportunity.
At the minute, we've worked hard on being both with and without the ball, so we're quite happy for them to have the ball, obviously, for a certain amount of time. We said they've got some magic in their side, and they've got an opportunity to break us with that, but if we stay connected and stay together, we'll have a look where we are as the game develops.
And a chance perhaps to exploit the Army's perceived frailties with their kicking game.
We've had a look at their kicking game, yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Back to Simon.
No worries.
Well, you saw Kelly Brown just on Dave Pascoe's left. They've been working more as a coaching advisory capacity this season, the former Scotland and Saracens back rower. Dave Pascoe, in his second year, begins to get his plans fully into operation. Talking to Bernie Barnard, of course, he's in his first year having taken over from you. So slightly different scenarios for the two head coaches.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but Bernie, has been around for sort of 4 or 5 years within this. So he gets it, he understands it. And it's interesting that Kelly is taking a slightly, you alluded to slightly more of a backward step in regards to his involvement with Navy Rugby. Interesting, really good run there from Hayler. I actually was chatting to his parents last night. So his dad is an Army officer, or was an Army officer, so he's got a bit of strong loyalties within the family. But he's rooting certainly for the dark blue today. Same
with Ross Parkins on the Army side. I think he comes from a Navy family in Portsmouth.
Yes, he does, yes.
Navy, a man down in back play. Army trying to get through the motions a little quicker. And the referee having to stop play there as they go back to attend the stricken Navy player. I'm looking to see who it is, can't quite see. Looks to me like Greg Lloydell. It is Lloydell, I think, getting attention there. And in a certain amount of distress, quick reactions from the medical staff. Well, plenty of rugby going on today on the Sky. After we finished here at Twickenham, just round the North Circular, it's the Championship Cup final. Ealing Trailfinders up against London Irish, 4:15. Things start. Well, the rugby, of course, continues here at HQ. A fortnight's time, the Seven Circus rolls into town once again. The HSBC World 7 Series here at Twickenham, 25th and 26th of May. And then, just when you thought it was the end of the season, so it trots on. And what a special day it is going to be for the Barbarians and England, because they don't only play the men, but the Red Roses will be up against their counterparts as well, the Barbarians women, who of course had that fantastic victory in the USA just a few weeks ago. Sunday the 2nd of June, it all starts at 12:30 here on Sky Sports, and then the England men will step out against their male Barbarians. 3 o'clock there, Jim Malander, we're told, will be in charge of the England side, so it'll be fascinating to see the makeup of that England 15. Hopefully the weather is as good as it is today. Always interesting, especially ahead of a World Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. Some great rugby coming up there, but looking to what's in front of us now. It'll be, unfortunate for Lloydell, but the Navy got a ready-made replacement in Handley, who's real talent.
Well, let's have and thoughts from the Navy camp. I think Nick Bartlett is down pitch side. Nick, what have you made of these opening 25, 26 minutes or so?
Well, I think in the Navy camp they'll be extremely pleased. You know, the defence is absolutely fantastic. Interestingly, the first penalty we gave away that the Army missed, and then for the second one then kicked for the corner. And these points are going to be really crucial as the game goes on. And if they're going to kick for the corner and then, you know, subsequently we then got a turnover and then we're halfway back up the pitch. So going back to the Navy though, the turnovers, the defence, the commitment, Dave Pascoe's spoken a lot about staying in the line, staying committed, not flying out, and that's what they're doing. They're starving the Army of any quick ball, any go forward ball, which will put us under a lot of pressure. So I'll be extremely pleased. It's a shame Greg Lloydell's now coming up on the stretcher. He's earned his place all season. He's done extremely well. Nathan Huntley has now come on. He's a smooth operator.
Well, Darryl in the red corner, without that designated kicker, so to speak, does that change the way the Army are having to play, and as a consequence the way the Navy can defend?
Yeah, absolutely. The Army's kick game is non-existent at the moment, and when they have done it, it's not been very accurate. But what the Army need to do now is try and solve the puzzle that is the Navy's defence. Very good, they keep the width, but they're picking and choosing which rucks they're going in. So the Army just have to keep guessing how many people to put in those rucks. And when you want to play an expansive game, that's quite a difficult thing to do. So they need to solve that puzzle quite quickly.
Well, Lloydell being taken off, it does look like a shoulder issue there. Like for like, as Andy Sanger says, Nathan Huntley on for his 23rd cap for the Navy.
It's your man. Don't.
Bean leading the next phalanx of Army forwards up to halfway. Prasad can't pick that one up. Tooth rescues it. Fatiaki quick to shuttle it on, but the pass to his captain is not good. And it's going to give the Navy a chance to set up their stall inside the Army half.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we've touched on it earlier, the sort of unforced offload, the unforced error, you know, it's sort of costing the Army at the moment. They're in their, you know, their defensive third, they're trying to play out. You know, maybe they want to, you know, keep it a little bit tighter, maybe even play a bit of field position. You know, they're inducing Navy pressure at the moment.
Much as we always talk about Fijian flair, seems to be a technical term in rugby nowadays, but because of the kicking elements not being there, are they the Army having to work from deeper in their own half with that sort of attack?
Yeah, they'll definitely be in their thinking, but at the same time, you know, you don't want to be reckless. And I'm not saying that they're necessarily in that area yet, but they are just inducing pressure, and if it wasn't for the slight knock-on from the knee, they'd have a try against them because of an unforced error.
Really good picture.
Jared Hayler having to step back as the Army get the call at that breakdown. Junior Bullamakau stepping forward to take responsibility, but, well, it's an advance, but not as far as they might have expected had a James Dixon been in the side. Dixon, of course, I think he's away on a career course this year, so not available to Bernie Bernard to pick.
Yeah, he's doing a sort of trade enhancement course, you know, because as we all know, these boys, you know, in both colours are serving their respective service, and, you know, and have a day job to do as well as produce some excellent rugby.
Yeah, the commitment is unbelievable in some cases, the work that they have to do, and then they want to be here for the rugby. Bollandale winds it up, setting it back. Wilden has numbers out to the right. Here's a big opportunity for the Army.
11 blue offside.
Nyalago takes his team up to within a couple of metres now. Prasad, Tooth trying to get things moving, but there was a hand
offside,
in there.
11 blue.
Offside call goes against him at Williams.
I mean, I referenced Bolladao earlier. You do not want him charging down the middle of the park like that, because he will cause damage. You know, I think when Prasad then takes it on, maybe if he just ships that on, they've created the gaps behind already with the Navy defence. Just exploit it.
Well, Jack Prasad lost 10 kilos when he came back into the Army camp. He might have been able to use that in that particular scenario. But here is the work of the number 8. Look at that burst.
Yeah, I mean, real power, real, you know, he takes 2 or 3 men and he gets a quick ball out. And we just didn't, the Army didn't capitalise.
Line out works really well, and is Bollendow coming round. Bollendow, and there is the first try. It goes to the Army in the end, and it's that man, Ifaemi Bollendow.
Yeah, great run there. Something that the Army forwards, Coach Lee Soper, will be really pleased with that. Full of a man, and from 5 metres out, just ain't going to stop him.
There's the play that set things up from the big number 8. And then, when the line-out came, it was textbook stuff. The coaches will be purring at that because they will have been working on that in Aldershot.
Yeah, your Lee Soper, that's a test on there. That'll be a planned training ground move. You know, Boller coming around on that, on almost an old-fashioned backfield. But when you've got someone like him coming around, then absolutely, let's do it.
David Tanavalu, who was 40% in that RAF game, and can't add the extras or find the target in this one. So it's a 2-point buffer for the Army into the final 10 minutes of this first half.
Yeah, we just see Mal Roberts running off, who's the kicking coach. You know, and in his day was an accomplished kicker. But David Tanavalu, as we touched on, he's not a regular kicker. You know, so it's a little unfair to judge him on his stats, so to speak.
Miller takes securely, sets the target for his forwards. He was telling me this week how proud he was to lead out his team. What a special experience, how many leaders he's got within the group to help him. And talking about the commitment, well, he deploys out on ops on Tuesday, so there's no time to really celebrate success or loss over this weekend.
I mean, Jamie Miller is a class example. You know, played pro rugby before he joined the Army. He represented the Barbars, and is now an attack helicopter pilot in the Apaches. So, you know, a force on and off the field.
Rees and Huntley, a familiar half-back hinge now for the Navy. And that's what Nathan Huntley brings you. Very adept at scanning the opportunity and putting his team into a front foot position.
Yeah, he's an accomplished player, Nathan Huntley. He'll play the field well, he'll kick to the corners, he'll continue that pressure that the Navy are trying to build. You know, and thus far the Army exits have not been great, I think it's fair to say. So, you know, him coming on actually could add some value to the Navy.
As you can see, a contributor to the Navy cause for quite a long time now. Austin and Bean provide a secure ball for those in red as the forwards try and drive it away from the danger area.
Same more, still a more.
That's good work from the Army forwards. Great formation, secure ball, now it's out into the backs. Tooth and David Tanavalu almost getting out of sync. The Navy coming forward very quickly to scavenge on it and going to get the put in.
Yeah, and again, we've mentioned it a few times, sort of unforced errors, losing the ball in contact, forcing the pass, when maybe all you needed to do there was keep the ball at the back of the driving ball and maybe wield and put it down in the corner.
Bollendow, who's of course worn the colours of the Ospreys for a fair few years, London Scottish, Rotherham Titans as well. He's had plenty of championship and Welsh experience.
Yeah, he's a real talent. You know, played Fiji Sevens as well. So, as well as the brutal physical presence he is, he's also got some place in some you know, deft handling skills.
The Navy work it out to Duncan. Duncan threatening, getting the offload, but not quite falling into the basket of Eldon Myers. But there again, we see the work of Craig Duncan. He has added a real cutting edge to this Navy back three this season.
Yeah, he certainly has. And when I touched on earlier about them being a more complete team, he's been a key facet of that. He, you know, brings a real attacking threat, you know, amongst the back three. And for again, you know, the Navy will be ruining that because opportunities like that won't come often.
He reminds me of another man who plays in the dark blue 15 shirt. That's Blair Kinghorn, the Scotland fullback. Similar range of running, seems to eat up the ground when he moves.
Yeah, absolutely, and he's got some pace as well, as we saw in the Army-Navy, in the RAF Navy game, where he exploited some gaps that they offered him.
Crouch. Binds. Set. Use it.
Suddenly the temperature seems to have dipped and the dark clouds hanging over Twickenham at the moment.
Okay, let the ball come, Nate. Here it is.
Slightly different feel to this game as well on the park as the wind begins to pick up. Squally, blustery wind. So difficult to gauge for the kickers. Good kick from Wilden, but doesn't find touch. Myers spinning in and out, presenting the ball for Reece Matavesi. Pascoe up on his shoulder. The Navy approaching the Army 22.
You know, the kick from Wilden, Welsh, you said it didn't go into touch. I'm not convinced that they wouldn't have been too bothered with that. They've had a relatively organised chase, and the Navy was almost guilty a bit of the Army there. If Matavesi takes that ball in, they probably win the collision, they win the next ball, and Gareth Rees will distribute some decent ball for them. But they got slightly isolated.
Last 90 seconds of the first half, in which there's been nothing really between these two sides. They've both had periods of ascendancy. Both been playing with a lot of positivity where possible. But the points on the board means there's only 2 points between them right now.
I mean, it was always going to be tight initially. The first 20 minutes, there's, you know, it's adjusting to the game, adjusting to the stadium, you know, the pace, etc. You know, as you said, there's been a ascendancy for both. I think both coaches will be almost unhappy with where they are.
Okay, fellas, red ball carrier's gone to ground in the maul, not brought out. Turnover.
Navy take the put in because the Army couldn't produce the ball, having set up that position. There you can see as the rain restarts here, dousing Twickenham, but it won't douse the enthusiasm of those guys out there, that's for sure.
Binds. Set.
The pick-up from Bollandau once again. He has been a key figure in this match thus far.
Yeah, absolutely, but I think it came from a dominant Army scrum, and that's probably the first scrum that we've seen that's had some real ascendancy. And, you know, Bollandau has come off the back of that.
Yes, worthy note there, Andy, of that impressive set piece from those in red. Jack Prasad kicks the ball. Dear Diary. Duncan picks the ball up, though, and Duncan will run. He's got a big left boot on him, should it be needed, but his instinct is always to run, and with that range of capacity...
Okay, right, you go, Jamie, thank you,
the clock in the red, the scoreboard in the red. Final play, and Gareth Rees says, let's go and talk about this. Well, it's been a really tight first half. The Navy thought they got themselves into a good position, but Dimmock Williams' try was disallowed, rightly so. The Army hit back with that try for Bollandau to get their first score on the board. But at the turnaround, it's tight. It's the Army 5, the Navy 3.
Well, an absolutely cracking first half in the 102nd Army Navy. The Navy led for most of it, but Bollandau, the big Fijian number 8, has put them into the lead. We'll hear from Darryl Ball and Nick Bartlett after the break.
Well, there's the biggest change of half-time. Lance Corporal Samisa Rokadanguni of the Royal Scots Dragoon Guards, Bath in England, is into the mix. Major Bernie Bernard making that call at half-time, Andy. Are you surprised?
No, you know, we're just speaking about it. We felt it would be sooner rather than later, you know, and he's, as we all know, he's a superb attacking talent. You know, and the longer he's on the field, the more effect he can have.
Same all.
Well, he's on for Jonah Davitanavalu.
Tackle to ground.
That means that there's going to be a change. It looks like he's going to be playing fullback from the way that they're lining up at the moment. Only joined up with the group on Thursday. He's had a couple of odd days in the lead up to it, but interesting to see how they maximise their use of the England international. Not working there at the breakdown, and an early penalty for the Navy.
I think with switching Rocco to 15, clearly we know that Bull Macau is a great attacking threat in the wing, but actually it sort of will put some thoughts into the mind of the Navy kickers about when and where they kick to Rocco.
I seem to remember your strategy a few years ago was get him in space, give him as much time and opportunity as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. As a broken field runner, there's not many at Premiership level that are as good as him. So, you know, Gareth Rees and Huntley are going to have to think wisely about when they kick to him.
Well, Gareth Rees is going to line up this first opportunity of the second half from all of 39 metres out. What wind there has seems to have dipped. Somebody turned off the Twickenham washing machine at half-time, thankfully. Rees sends it on its way, just hooking left, so that's an opportunity gone.
Yeah, I think that's just about on the edge of Gareth's range as well. You know, it was around 40-45 metres, and he's kicking that as opposed to you know, really putting everything behind it.
Talking of kicking, look who's taking responsibility for the restart.
Yeah, you know, not very often you would have Rocco kicking the ball. You'd want him to keep it, but you know, it is something that his professional rugby has enabled him to work on.
Sure, he's learned a lot from Mr. Burns back at the Rec. The only man who scored a drop goal in the Premiership all this season, would you believe?
Yeah, it's a lost
useless
art,
fact.
it would appear.
Useless fact. No, Navy just unable to keep that clean, but now they move on with James moving down that left channel. Support from Duncan as the Navy enter the Army 22.
Play on.
Pretty has to dig that ball deep. There's Jared Hayler running into Peter Austin. Friends reunited. Actually met each other for the first time on a Sunday morning at Havant Rugby Club all those days ago. Who would have thought all these years later they'd be meeting at HQ?
Yeah, Jared's been relatively quiet so far by his sort of standards. You know, he was hoping to have a little bit more impact on the game, but plenty of rugby to go yet.
Right, there's an awkward call against the Army. The ricochet's not working, and in the end it came off a red boot, I think, and into the hands of Jack Prasad. And the offside call correct, but it was so difficult for the Army boys to actually react to what was going on there.
Yeah, you know, the temptation is always to sort of take the ball on. You know, it's bounced around, it's come off Wheeldon, and Prasad has instinctively picked that ball up. But, you know, it's a penalty, and one that, from a Navy perspective, you would think that Gareth Rees will be hoping to knock this over.
Rees, who's been plying his trade with Swansea in the Welsh Premiership, along with Carmarthen Quins. First time, though, he's actually had the opportunity to kick here at Twickenham. A different challenge in many ways. You know, we can look at flags and look at wind, but when you're actually at ground level, it's quite often a different thing. Yeah,
absolutely. Kicking down in South West Wales is not the same as kicking at Twickenham in front of 80-odd thousand people who may have had one or two beers.
Gareth Rees slides it through the post and pushes the Navy back in front. So job done from a Navy perspective from the Welsh 9. And there's a big change as Ben Bubba Watson bids adieu. Great to see him back after that. Broke his leg 2 years ago. A long climb back here, but he's replaced by that man, Ratu Bakalo Tukali, known as Toots, thankfully, to most people.
Yeah, I mean, I think I may end up calling him Toots throughout the game, but I'll do my best.
Well, he will presumably go into the back row and allow Ed Pascoe to move up to his more regular featured place in that second row. We shall see how that pans out as Stuart Cross heads down and drive. There's another replacement there for the Army. I think that's Gareth Smith into the Army front row mix.
Yeah, I think he's come on to replace Dowding, and off Bolladau goes again.
Yeah, Bolladau is the critical character, it would appear, in this Army game at the moment. Austin can't read Prasad's mind there and unable to take that ball cleanly, but the work of Bolladau doing around the pitch, you see him moving further outside the first receiver, then getting the Army thrust, getting that front football.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been the standout player on the park, I think, so far today. He looks a threat every time he carries the ball, even when it's close up. He's taking 2 or 3 people to get him down. I mean, look at the power there. He's winning collisions, and he looks a fearsome sight. Even sat up here.
What I'll do, Jamie, is I'll treat you exactly the same way as I treat you.
You just see the Army hooker unable to react to his fly half's promptings. It means it's going to be a scrum put in for the men in blue. Such a clever player. Bernie Bernard was saying what he adds to the way that the Army can play, not just the physicality and the athleticism. I think that looks like Jack Prasad down there. Prasad
Binds. Set.
Doesn't look good for the Army 10 right now. Looks better. That's a big surge from the tight 5 as it was then.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Gareth Rees, probably, you know, a better scrummager than Dowding. Might not have a better overall game, but plying his trade down at Pontypridd in the Welsh Premiership, and he's a great scrummaging tight end, and certainly exerting pressure there.
Well, Prasad still down on the AstroTurf on the edge of the pitch. So Junior Bulamakau is taking that kick. Change already. Conor O'Reilly is trotting on. It means that adjustment, further adjustment in that back line, and Fatiaki will go in as the playmaker.
Yeah, as we discussed earlier, Fatiaki's played, international level as a 10 for Fiji, so he'll be well accustomed to it, and actually might add a little bit more sort of control to the game. Conor O'Reilly will come on, he'll run hard, and he'll play a pretty one-dimensional game.
Well, a special day for Conor O'Reilly. Turns 26 today.
Absolutely, may the 4th be with Conor.
I did warn him that he might get the bumps later on, and that really scared him on Thursday. But right now, looking forward to the next 33 minutes as Bolladau gets through, but can't take the ball with him this time. So the Navy with the chance to escape their 22. Well, Sam Matavesi getting in there once again. Talking to Matavesi on Thursday, and he said he played against the RAF over at the Stoop, then he flew to Toulouse, came off the bench, packed down. First time he's looking back, who does he see? Jerome Kano as his number 8, who was one of his heroes, and it was like,
yeah, absolutely.
Welcome to the top 14.
A great drive from the Army there. They've taken it, they've got control. Channel needs to keep the momentum with this and make the right decision from the base of this driving more.
Broken away, play on. Tackle.
Well, Wilden it is who invites Fatiaki to show what he can do as a fly half. There was a slightly high tackle going in. Here's Rocketunguni. going back, I think, for that earlier call. Looking to see how the Army are going to set this up. Well, they say points mean prizes, but when you haven't got a kicker, what's the call?
Yeah, they've got to go for 3 points. I think my gran could put that one over, so I don't want to tempt it, but...
Does she tweet to your gran? Are we going to get angry tweets from
No,
from
she doesn't,
South
thankfully,
Wales?
so we're all right. But, you know, the Army have to take the point here.
Well, Bollandau slowly gets back to his feet. As Dan Tooth, I think it is, who's going to take the pot shot from the tee here. There he is.
Yeah,
It's Corporal Dan Tooth of the 1st Battalion, the Rifles, making his debut here at Twickenham, the quickest debut try in the inter-services competition when he went over after 6 minutes against the RAF. There's another useless fact.
Great knowledge there, Simon, but listen.
Well, Dan Tooth takes the right club out the bag.
Absolutely.
And the 3 points are there for the Army, and they're back in front.
Yeah, I think he kicked when he was in the rugby league side. You referenced that earlier. So no doubt Bernie Bernard would have done his research on that.
So this nip and tuck, ebb and flow match continues. Good follow-up from Dimmock Williams, but Jamie Miller holds on to the pill and lets his forwards drive them away from that dreaded white line.
Six, take a set, please, thank you. Okay, use it, please. No.
Wheeldon with the box kick. Well, it's going to be very interesting to see how the coaches use their subs now, tactically as well.
Just your hook has been changed.
Yeah, I think, you know, we touched on earlier, one of the, you know, whilst 1 to 15, the starting teams, you know, there's probably a degree of parity there. I think the Army bench looks stronger than the Navy bench and could make an impact.
There's a special moment. Matty Dwyer stepping on to the pitch for his last appearance for the Army, 14 years. He's given service, Pete Austin, and yeah, dare I say it, Mr. Dwyer has kicked the odd penalty in his time.
Yeah, he has. He's kicked in some big games as well, so that might be a tactical move from a kicking perspective.
Lovely slap on from Jared Hayler. The door shut firmly in the face of Rhys Dimmock Williams. There he is. His dad used to play for the Navy with Dave Pascoe. I'm not sure who that scares the most, him or Dave Pascoe.
Probably Dave Pascoe. You know, for someone who had 35 caps, I think Dave has got, you know, an absolute legend in Navy rugby. What is worrying, I think even I may have played against Dave Pascoe, which is even more concerning.
Well, the last century is still very vivid.
Absolutely.
For many. Right, the Army set themselves out to work their way away from the 22. Rockadungani avoids the tackler,
Okay, use it, please.
and O'Reilly, but the Army's still stuck in their 22, and this is where the pressure defence that the Navy have been working so hard on. Dave Pascoe has been able to keep the same team together against the Royal Marine and the RAF. There's the, in many ways, unforced error from, of all people, Rockadungani.
Yeah, and you know, the Army need to be careful that they don't think, let's give the ball to Rocco and he will, you know, and he will do something. You know, because that will happen, but he's got to have the time and space to do it, and just giving them the ball and sort of on a wing and a praise not gonna be good. They've induced pressure there, which you know, the Navy will look to capitalise on.
As much as we know the quality of the man, this is going to be a huge challenge for Samesa to just step into this scenario. Yes, he's done it before. Yes, he's scored lots of tries. I think he scored 4 tries in his debut for you against the RAF back in the day. But this is just asking an awful lot of the man.
Yeah, absolutely, and he hasn't played a lot of rugby for Bath as well, which compounds that issue also. So
came back on the bench last weekend for Bath. Scored 8 tries, I think, in 7-8 games or whatever it is this season. Reese looking for help, looking for support, and it's Miller who gets his boot to the ball first. Duncan steps back, steps again, and Craig Duncan gets Ramakita into the game. Okadunguni reading that well, breaking through 2 tackles. Well, there's a Navy reception committee hurriedly formed to try and keep him in. Lewis Bean taking the ground on the 10. Cross
Not now, 13.
up to halfway.
No, fellas.
The Army spreading wide to the right.
Use it, please.
Parkins looking to his left. Matty Dwyer.
Didn't survive.
Such a big character in the Army rugby setup over the years and now. Fatiaki. Bollandau again waiting that one man out from the 10. Trying to find the softer arm as he cuts back in.
Yeah, and he will do that, but I think there's probably a little bit of space out the back there, but a loose pass of Fatiaki.
Hurried pass, Nyalago has to rescue operations, but he does so. Miller is the link, looking for support. Dimmock Williams comes back to snare his prey, but the Army suddenly into the Navy 22 and trying to capitalise. Dimmock Williams, I think, was the man being pinged there.
Yes, you know, a great run by Jamie Miller. Made the right decision, I think, not to sort of force the ball. He's taking the contact. You know, I think if they come open, there's probably an opportunity to score there, but Niall Agnew has gone, you know, around the blind, got the corner.
Much as we've highlighted the work of Bollandau, Jamie Miller is the glue.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's the man that links everything. I mean, very apt there, I know, but lots of the bits and pieces stuff is what the captain does.
Yeah, and he makes the right decisions at the right time. Interesting that they've gone to the corner here. You know, we mentioned earlier Gareth Smith coming on. One of his key things this year is the driving ball as well.
Oh, the Army immediately off that line out, forcing their way in.
Advantage in the side.
Bean is up and over. And the Northampton Saints lock does the job for the Army. Well, they have been pragmatic in their work. They got into the opposition 22. Set piece works beautifully, and in the end, it's the second row who stretches his 6'7" frame to score.
Yeah, absolutely. It was almost like the repeat of the first one. Ball just up short there from the try line. And we referenced Bean's weight earlier. You don't stop him from a couple of metres at 128 kilos.
Again, it was the number 8 who made the initial incursion. The setback was there, and there was nothing that the Navy could do to stop this final thrust.
Yeah, I can just see Lee Soper, the Army forwards coach, you know, jumping with joy there. Again, a well-executed move.
Well, Matty Dwyer, take a bow, why not?
Yeah, you'll have, he's got a big grin on his face there, and so many hookers kicking at this level.
Well, Bean's try with the conversion means that for the first time in this game, we've got a 2-score buffer between the two sides. Now the Navy have to respond.
Yeah, we referenced the benches earlier. You know, I think we just seen some subtlety here with, you know, Gareth Smith coming on, adding impact in there. Bollandau still doing what he's doing. Rocker, you know, gives that little bit of a threat. So this next score obviously is crucial.
Wheeldon again hanging it up, sun in the eyes of Duncan there, but he does well and gets the release in. The Navy boys knew this was going to be a big challenge. They've worked so hard, found a newfound unity, really working together.
Ball back.
Takali gets them on the move. Reese out to Matavesi, little show and go. Pretty trying to straighten things up for those in the senior service ranks. Huntley and captain move it out to Hayler. Jared Hayler does well, in fact, to struggle his way through those two hefty contacts.
Yeah, absolutely. He wins the collision. I think this is 7th or 8th phase now for the Navy, and they really need to retain the possession and force this pressure onto the Army.
James bounces off one, working hard, scrabbling through to set up position for his centre partner, Makita.
22 clear.
The game moving up towards the hour mark, and big calls from both sides and from the referees as the Army step up offside. Now, what is the call from a Navy perspective when you're looking at that scoreboard now?
I think Dave Pascoe, the Navy coach, might be tempted to kick the corner. They'll trust their driving line out.
22.
But equally, a shot for the post brings it the corner they've gone.
Well, Captain Scott Makepeace has told Nathan Huntley. Well, I thought he was about to kick for the line there.
Yeah, let's go.
And indeed he is. So, a line-out opportunity for the Navy, but on the other side of the pitch there, scrum half, Gareth Rees is hobbling his way off. There he is. That is a big blow for the Royal Blue, but on for his first experience comes Kit Bridgen. He's going to have to rush to get to that breakdown. Didn't give him any opportunity as the Navy forwards muscle up and drive over. And there is the response from the Royal Blue. Just what Dave Pascoe will have called for. On the hour mark, the Navy get their first try. Jared Hayler is taking the congratulations from his teammates. What a big moment that is.
Yeah, we called it, they will trust their driving line out. It's been a Navy threat, certainly for the last 5 or 6 years. Well executed line out. The Army initially did well to break it down, but great power, great leg drive from Hayler there, and over he goes.
Tough as teak, Marine Jared Hayler, and showing great strength there. No matter how many red shirts were hanging on him, he was not going to be denied.
No, absolutely. I mean, you can see there he's got some added weight from, I think it was Scott Makepeace behind him as well. But he'll be pleased with that. And his father, the Army officer, Royal Engineer, he will perhaps be not so pleased.
No pocket money this week for Mr. Hayler. Junior, anyway. Nathan Huntley with a very important kick. Doesn't find his target. So, where are we? Army 15, Navy 11. Into the final quarter of this one. Points have gone adrift from the tee for both teams now. That was the third kick from the tee that the Navy have not been able to capitalise on. But is there going to be a moment of excellence, a moment of pizzazz that is going to break this game open?
I actually think, we referenced there, I think it'll be who controls this last 20 the better. The Navy, arguably, losing Gareth Rees will be crucial to them, I think, because he would have added real experience and real control. But this last 20 under control, Huntley will have to take, if the Navy want it, Huntley will have to boss that around.
Okay, good pitches, nice and high, please, elbows up.
Rokadungoni showing just a little bit of inexperience for the kick, so it's going to give Kit Bridgen a chance to get his hands on the ball for the first time. All those at Cleve Rugby Club down there in the southwest will no doubt be cheering him on. Hayler brought down. That's quick work from Wielden. Matavesi once again happy to do the hard yards. The colour to Kali. Look at the strength of the man. Scored the only try for the Navy here last year. Matavesi and Hayler combining once again.
Yeah, the Navy back row, they're just starting to get into the game with some real power there, and in this last sort of 15 or 17 minutes, that could be absolutely crucial.
Makepeace providing the focal point for his team. Duncan.
Yeah, bring him down, thank you.
That's good work from Niall Argo.
Yeah, he's checked his run, that's fine. Not now, Army. Let it come, please. Let it come. Thank you.
Discipline, of course, is going to be absolutely critical. That pass going sideways. The officials happy to let play continue as Brad James bundles his way up over the 22.
Excuse me. Thank you.
Bridgen has huge numbers out to the left. Huntley throws wide, but the quick pass doesn't find Elder Myers, and they can catch breath. So, as the teams catch their breath, let's get a reaction from the Army camp. Julian, who have you got?
Yeah, thank you, Simon. I've got Major Bernie Bernard, obviously the head coach for the Army, and some concerning signs for you here, Bernie, because initially the second half started brightly with you, for Lewis Breen crashing over, giving you some daylight between the scores, but as I say, now you're sort of camped on your own 22.
Yeah, it's exactly what we knew it would be. You know, the Navy have come to play. You know, we've been impressed with them all year, and they're doing exactly what we knew they would. We just need to find some composure when we're stressed. You know, and just try and get back into our game, because when we came out after half-time, the lads did exactly what I asked them to do. So, yeah, it's a little bit frustrating at the moment, but, you know, we backed the lads, but we just need to find our way out of it.
One of the fallibilities of your game, I suppose, is the kicking game, or lack of, and you got Rocco taking kicks, something that he's probably not familiar with.
Yeah, you know, the lads on the field make the decisions, you know, and I backed them. They obviously felt that was the right thing to do at that time and just didn't execute. So, yeah, we just need to find the balance back in our game, that's all.
And when you say find that balance, what are you looking for them to do?
Yeah, so we've got an attacking shape, but because of the pressure the Navy defence has put on us, we've not been able to find that shape. And to be fair, the Navy have slowed the ball down really well, so we've talked about clearing those Navy
haven't stopped working all afternoon. Huntley gets the little offload in to John Kerwin.
No, still in.
Great rugby name. Known as the Met Man, because he's heavily into his weather. Gives a weather report every morning, I'm told. I'm not sure whether he foresaw the squally rain that we've had, but it's now brilliant sunshine, and it's shining on the Army.
No, off your feet, off your... There we go. OK, that's a tackle, fellas. No 12, not now, thanks.
The Navy continuing to go. James and Huntley combining in that midfield. Hayler puts it back inside. Mick Spencer unable to get any further forward, but the Navy looking to maximise maybe this final opportunity inside the opposition 22. Bridgen has a healthy queue of forwards waiting to do the next half metre or so.
OK, clear out the way, 18, thank you. Clear release, please, 18.
Pick and drive, edging further forward. It's not going to make any difference to the outcome of this game, but it will make somebody have a notable signature on this particular chapter of this contest.
Right, come on, man. Hands up, please. Okay. No, 20, not now.
Nyolo being warned off as the ball is whisked out. Good hands. Duncan pushed down just short. Losing the ball in the contact. And that is going to be that. As the final whistle goes, the cabbage patch is growing red roses as Twickenham blushes red. The service salutes another victory for those in red. The Babcock Trophy and the Inter-Services Championship once again belongs to the Army Rugby Union.
Yeah, and I think they've run out, you know, deserved winners. They look more potent, you know, a greater attacking threat. We spoke before the game about how they would do in the front five and how the pack performance would go, and I think they probably got ascendancy overall in the game for that. So, yeah, overall deserved winners.
absolutely, totally agree. I just wonder if that Dimmock Williams try had registered inside that first half, how that might have changed the psyche. Ifs and buts, I know. But it's interesting how those little small things, and then Bollandau coming straight back in, smashing through for that try. That was a critical phase of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, they've created opportunities in the Navy. They've got behind the Army, you know, a couple of handling errors, and that last phase of play was probably symptomatic. They've created an overlap on the left-hand side and not executed. And then Duncan, just as he's going for tries, lost the ball forward, you know, a metre from the line.
Well, elation within the Army camp, and deservedly so. They've worked so hard through the course of this season. They had that big win at Kingsholm 7 days ago that really seemed to set out what they were about this season. And credit to the camp, credit to Major Bernie Bernard as well. I'm sure you've got some feelings for that man.
Yeah, he's you know, he's a student of the game, absolute top guy. I'm really pleased for him, pleased for the Army lads, you know, but you know, you've got to give some credit to the Navy. They came here theoretically as underdogs, but have stuck to the game, you know, made a real contest of it, and if they'd have taken their chances, you know, they'll say they'd have had the game.
Well, almost but not quite for the senior service. They worked so hard. They looked so good, talking about the lead up to this, that first win in 5 years, I think, over the Marine Nationale. Victory over the RAF at the Stoop a month ago, and they looked set to cause, well, not a surprise, but really, really challenge the Army. They worked so hard through that first hour and then were just blown apart by the subs bench, as you mentioned, the power that the Army can bring on.
Yeah, before the game, and I looked at the two benches, you know, they just didn't compare. The power, the pace, you know, and the sort of tactical ability on the bench there for the Army, sort of told in the last sort of 20 minutes. But you mentioned there about the Navy playing a month ago. I think that's been key as well. You know, the Army have bounced in from last week, and I think that's carried them.
Well, the Army taking the knee. Let's just hear from their captain, Jamie Miller, as the squad unite to give thanks. Strong Fijian influence, of course, very strong unity within that group. Let's hear from their captain. He is now with Julian Evans. Julian.
Simon, thank you very much indeed. Delighted to say that skipper Captain Jamie Miller is with us. What a performance by your side today. Where was it that you guys just took it away from the Navy today?
I think we just stayed in the game. You know, we had a really tough first 40 minutes, weathered the storm, gathered our thoughts at half-time and came out fighting.
Defences at times were key to the winning performance by yourself today, but the Navy stuck at it all the way through.
Yeah, I think both teams defended pretty fiercely for 80 minutes, and I think the body's going to feel it in the morning.
Looking at the man of the match, who is Eferimi Bollandau, what a performance by him today. His ball carrying was sensational.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding. He does it every week. You know, it's he's a huge talisman for this team, and you saw that today.
Also saw yourself trotting down there as well. Was there? Did you have white line fever? Did you think that perhaps you were going to make it over?
That would have been nice, but, you know, today wasn't my day.
Of course, and bringing in Samisa Rokoduguni, an England international, into your ranks, bringing him on in the second half. You know, I don't know what was going through the Navy minds. Did they just sort of sigh when they see him? But for you guys, does it give you an enormous lift?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, you saw he had some quality touches. As we said before, he's a quality player, and he really brings an edge to this team.
Well, let's bring the man of the match in. Eferimi, congratulations. Huge performance by yourself today. Man of the match. But you probably, you know, pay accolades to your teammates as well. But delighted with the performance?
Yeah, I've been waiting for too long. Missed out for 2 years. It's good to be back with the boys. It's a team effort, and I'm glad we won today.
Yeah, your rugby playing career, you've racked up 1 or 2 injuries. So was there a little bit from you today thinking, I'm going to pay back the faith the Army have shown in me?
Yes. When you're injured, you are really downhearted, and you want to come back strong. Credit to the boys' performance today. We made a few mistakes, but it's good to be back and on a winning streak.
And one player who's retiring from Army Rugby, Matty Dwyer, popped up with some crucial conversions. He'll be delighted with that send-off as he retires from Army life.
It's always good to play with Matty. We're definitely going to miss him. He'll be quiet in the changing room next year. So, yeah, all the best to Matty in the future.
thank you very much. Congratulations, man of the match. Look, let's bring in commiserations. Scott, disappointing for you not to come away. You know, we had the chat there with Jamie Miller saying where he thought that the game was won. So from your point of view, where was the game lost today?
It's hard to really pinpoint where the game was lost. I mean, 64 minutes into the game, we were well in it. They've got a couple of superstars, as we know. They pulled a few out of the bag, and that was the difference on the day.
Perhaps you thought that had that try early on gone your way, that could have been a turning point, do you think?
Yeah, TMO's gone against us again, but we've still got another 60 minutes after that we should be putting points on the board, so we can't look back at some of that happened in the 20th minute and think that the game's lost there. So.
Of course, marshalling the game is important as well, and that injury to Gareth Rees, did that disrupt things?
Obviously, losing a player like Gareth Rees is massive, but we've got good strength on the bench. We back our players on the bench. Yeah, but losing someone of Gareth's calibre is tough.
From your point of view, you'll regather, regroup, and we can see you back here again next season.
Say again, sorry?
We can see you again back here next season going for it.
Oh, yeah, like I said, we just had a chat with the boys. We're going to remember this feeling, and next year, hopefully, we'll come back and do a job. So.
Congratulations, Scott. Well played today, but not quite. Thank you, Rupert. Back to you.
Thank you, Julian. Yes, commiserations to the Royal Navy. They come up short. Once again, 5-3 at half-time. It ends 27-11 to the Army. Darryl Ball and Nick Bartlett alongside. Darryl, you wanted a big second half from the Army, and we certainly saw that to seal this victory here.
No, we certainly did. I think, as Andy Sanger mentioned in commentary, the strength of the bench, I think, was the difference today. With Shane or Sinatiki Naiola with that really amazing offload to Bullen McCall, I think sort of perhaps won the game for the Army, and then they were sort of on the front foot from there. So yeah, the strength of the Army's bench was a difference today.
And in some ways, this victory from the Army was made in Fiji, personified by Ifeanyi Bolondao. Collected his man of the match award there. He was enormous today, wasn't he, Nick, for the Army?
Yeah, absolutely immense. You know, he was taking 2 to 3 players out, still getting the offload. The Navy have worked extremely hard, and they'd be disappointed today. They got a new captain, Scott Makepeace, and they've all done really, really well. But the pace and power and just the flair, I think, from the Fijian runners, it's just something you can't coach against. You know, they just got the knack of breaking the line, and before you know it, as we said, you know, that they've scored.
We spoke at half-time, Nick, that perhaps the Navy didn't have enough points on the board, just the 3 going into the break, but they had plenty of chances. Was that the difference, that they need to nail those in that first half to give themselves a chance?
Yeah, I think so, and I was a little bit critical of the Army kicking game, but actually we missed a few penalties which would have taken us a bit further ahead. But most impressive for me was that 15 minutes straight after half-time for the Army. You know, they came out, they put some pressure on, exerted some real pressure in the front row. And that power play they had for 15 minutes was, well, set them up for the second half and ultimately the win.
And with the likes of Sameso Rokonaguni coming off the bench in that second half, there just seemed to be a bit more depth in the Army ranks today.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot more sort of running threat if we didn't have enough already. You know, he just sort of added to that. But I think what Rocco does to the opposition, you know, they're naturally going to be wary of him and perhaps sort of channel all their sort of energy at him. And I think that then perhaps sometimes creates a little bit of space for others out a bit wider from him.
Darryl, you know what this is about. You've felt this emotion. Players going up with their children to collect their winners' medals. What's this moment like?
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's you know, walking up those steps, you've got to be careful with your footing, though, with those studs on those that concrete. But yeah, the boys, you know, even Jack Prasad on his crutches there is making it up. But you know, this is the culmination. You know, it's the climax of what's been quite a tough season when you've been away from your family for quite a lot. You know, you put a lot into training, and luckily on this day for the Army, they've come away and going to be able to lift a couple of trophies in a moment. Great moment.
Okay, trophy lift standing by. Let's go back upstairs to Andy and to Simon.
Yes, special moments for everybody as they make their way up to the Royal Box here at Twickenham. Babcock International Group Chief Exec, Mr. Archie Bethel up there, the President of the Royal Navy Rugby Union, Vice Admiral Ben Key, the President of the Army Rugby Union, Lieutenant General Sir John Lorimer, as well as the President of the Rugby Football Union, Mr. Chris Kelly, waiting there as the Babcock Trophy is set to be awarded once again with red ribbons on, and it is a record, I'm told. 9 years undefeated by the Army in this contest, so that is a very special moment.
Yeah, absolutely. you know the boys here in red, they'll have worked hard all season, and there's a lot that goes behind it. You know, the support staff, the coaches, the managers, med team, etc. But importantly, and I think it needs to be mentioned, is the support that they get from their colleagues and their units. You know, they're there for a reason. They're there representing their service, and it's great that they do that.
Yeah, good point, well made. As well as, of course, their supervising officers in whatever way, shape or form that allowed them that time out to commit to this tournament, to commit to their service. And by my goodness me, they do it so well. Chelsea pensioners making their way to the best vantage points that they possibly can, as Jamie Miller steps forward to receive the trophy and confirm that once again the winners of the Babcock Trophy are the Army. And of course, with that now comes the championship of the inter-services, the 46th time that the Army have won that particular accolade, and deservedly so. Worked so hard. They've come through victorious against the Royal Navy, 27 points to 11.